What the hell am I doing here? Hello. Welcome back. Or if this is your first time here, welcome. I'm Pat. You probably heard my voice a few times. This is the end of season 1, and I wanted to take a little bit of time just to go back and reflect a little bit and mostly just talk about the Sonder project today. I'm going to do a bunch of these, but today I just want to talk about the Sonder project specifically and season 2 because this is coming out on the 1st of April, 2nd of April, maybe. I don't know. And then the first episode of season 2 will come out on the 4th of April. And this is all tying together some plans that I've had since last year, since working on the project. What do you think of the project? How were those first 9 episodes? How were our guests? I thought we had some really great stuff. Super privileged to have everyone talk to me. Super honored to have everyone trust me. And I think I did a pretty good job. Not the best, not the worst. Learned a lot of lessons and trying to apply everything that I learned to the newest season. But what's the point? So if you've seen the definition, if you've seen the description of some of the earlier Sonder videos, it has the definition of Sonder from the Dictionary of Humanities, which I summarize to people as the opposite of the NPC effect. So the idea that people aren't NPCs and in fact are all PCs, or to say that in a less gamer way, everybody's life is deep, intricate, and valuable. And we are in a time and we're moving forward on a path where we are more interconnected than any time in the history of our species, and yet simultaneously more segregated, disconnected, and alone than ever before. And of course, there's a variety of factors that this result is a product of, but the numbers are what they are. There's no denying the emotional strife and turmoil. I wonder if I'm rubbing my mic. Sorry. Everyone does that, and now I'm doing it. The emotional strife and turmoil that we're all living under, the increasingly hazardous political climate that we all continue to coexist within, and net entropy is only increasing. And what that means is that chaos and randomness is only increasing. And this is both good and bad, just like everything in life. It's up to us to decide what it's going to ultimately be. A time, because this is a transitionary time, clearly. Something old is dying and something new is being born, and that is always painful in any macro sense of what I just said, if you really think about it. So things aren't going to get better before they get worse. Things aren't going to get better before they get worse. They might. No, things aren't going to get better before they get worse. Right. I'm like, that's right. The timeline is going to continue to degrade, like the quality of our lives in the context of Earth's and society's timeline are going to get worse. Everyone can tell that. As I'm recording this, we're in an election cycle in Canada right now, and of course, as always, most people think that just by either changing the government or electing who they want, that will fix the problems. But that will not fix the problems. It never has, it never will. What will fix the problems is connection. And I did a recent interview just a couple of days ago, so I'm going to quote this person, but what they said was imminently true, which is that is the entire point of being alive, is connection. And that's the entire point of this series. There's a lot of stuff about me that I'll get into as this series goes on, including my background, what makes me qualified to do this, why you should listen to anyone that I talk to or anything that I say. But ultimately, for now, just based on things still being ongoing, I need to just... And frankly, in service of the series is ultimately not about me. Of course, everything that anyone creates is inherently about themselves, but with that said, this series isn't about me, truly. It's just about the people that I get to experience perspective with and the conversations that I get to have with people who I think are interesting and worth talking to and worth listening to. And the reality of it is that that's almost anybody. So I like to think that everyone that I chose for the first season had a good, interesting dynamic in their lives, perspective through their experiences, and just something cool to say. A lot of them were artists. Some of them were people who I'm personally very close to, and I'm blessed that they trusted me enough to, like Thor, my first interview ever, you know. Me and him have a long history of just going way back to when I, 15 years, basically. A little bit less, but when I graduated post-secondary, that guy's been in my life since then. It's totally random connection through another friend who, I think I say it in the interview, but another friend who they were in a frat house together, and I wanted to buy weed off of him. And just very honored that he trusted me to really start this whole series with him, and trust that I was going to do something and not just not do something, because that's my bad thing. My bad thing is we have lots. Everyone has lots. But one of my bad things is starting things and not finishing them. So it's definitely beneficial that people put faith in me through giving me the interviews, because then I'm inclined to actually do the work to see it to fruition because of that, partially. Because of all of you also. But that was all a long way of saying that Sonder is about humanity, and everything is the maximum. So maximum humanity, maximum connection, maximum empathy. I was going to say entropy. That's something we try to keep to a controlled degree, but maximum empathy, maximum time for people to explain their ideas and their thoughts behind things, because I think another thing that I'm very proud of is that lots of the people that I interviewed would all not necessarily, I think they would all get along, but they wouldn't all necessarily agree on the truths of life. And I think that that's the ultimate truth, is that it's something somewhat different for every person, and each of those things can be true. and also be part of a greater whole. And I do think that one of the big things for sure that I figured out is the connection aspect. Super important. Oh, let's change this just so this keeps rolling. The connection aspect, very important, and letting people really talk, because in my previous profession doing this kind of stuff, it's very segmented, it's very like soundbite oriented, and I think like him or hate him, and there's plenty of reason for both, something Joe Rogan really did was show people that actually not everybody has a crazy attention deficit, and people do want to watch content that's long form and not just swipeable bite size, and that there's a real market for that, and that it's important because that's the real way that people can have actual discussions and conversations and explain ideas in a fulsome way rather than in a media because it's like the format of the media basically. That's the problem, right? It's like what Marshall McLuhan said, where it's like the medium is the message, and it's like TV news has been the primary medium for information dissemination for like 40, I mean longer, but this, I'm thinking about like network 24-hour news for approximately like 40 years, I guess 50 maybe now. And it's just like, it's like anything. It's good and bad. I think now probably more bad than good, because there's no need for it. So it's just like an antiquated concept of being like a media gatekeeper, I guess. They would say that it's being a media librarian almost, I suppose, like someone who's like media literate and therefore able to discern what is credible, reliable facts versus what is more and more dangerous misinformation in an age of anything being possible, basically. Any image can be fake. Pretty much any video now can be fake. Any voice can be fake. So it's definitely a very dangerous time if you're not information literate. And even for people who are information literate, it's very difficult. I don't even know if that's really a credential anymore, because everyone makes mistakes, everyone gets fooled. But the big thing is that I think that people still are fundamentally what they are. That core like codex hasn't been shifted yet. And I think that ultimately there is like, in an age of AI, the ultimate human thing that can't be replaced is to be human and to understand connection and to understand emotion and to be able to like talk to each other in a real way, because that's also something that right now we're in real danger. And everyone I talk to, not just on this, just in general, I think everyone pretty much understands like we're in real danger because things are so polarized now and people are so easy to like knee-jerk. There's just a lot more like dehumanization of people who don't agree with your points of view is what I would summarize it as. If you don't think the exact same thing as a group of people, not that they will dehumanize you, but it's certainly very easy these days for them to do that, and then whatever happens to you is fine because you're not really like look at the way that the deaths in Israel versus the deaths in Palestine are like reported, and like there's a clear dehumanization of one side of that conflict, because therefore, if people are like less than human, it makes doing like subhuman things to them okay, basically. So yeah, we're in great danger. And yeah, I don't know. I was just trying to figure out like what I was going to do after what I had been doing for over, for almost 15 years. And I knew that it had to be something that I didn't care about making money, and it didn't matter. All that mattered was telling the stories and like preserving the stories and having the archive of these people at these times, because everything is speeding up, like change and life and currency and everything is speeding up, as is just the nature of the universe. So, it's nice in these times to be able to like slow down a little bit, take some time and talk to someone in a real way, and just let them talk and hear what they have to say, and not be too worried about hitting the timeline I always tell people is like, we're worried about running out of space on the memory card. That's it. So if you talk for 15 minutes or 20 minutes, which I intend to, I don't want this to be a very long thing. This is just more like my rambling thoughts, and hopefully there's something coherent in this. But yeah, that's the idea of the Sonder project. Maximum humanity, maximum empathy, maximum connection, and just letting people have somewhere that they can talk and be heard in a real way, in a non-judgmental way, where I will definitely push against things that I feel to be like untrue or differ from how I think about things. But at the same time, this isn't about me, like I said. I want to let people have their space to talk and let the world know what they think. And, that's the whole idea of this whole thing, is that we all get a chance to say what we think, and everyone else gets to decide if that's something that they agree with or not. But no one's a bad person, with very few exceptions, for having ideas that aren't the same as what you think is right. That's what I think anyway. Maybe you don't agree with that idea, but I think it's true. So, yeah, that's the idea of the project. That was the thrust of the first season, was to talk to these people and start to build these connections. And I think that we've had some stuff that's really connected with people, because this is all me. I don't do any real, and this is like all me and like the good and the bad. So I don't do like enough promotion, I would say. I'm going to try to get better at that. This year I'm really focusing on like trying to grow the channel so that people can see, like, there's already some stories that we've got, like some video books or whatever you want to call it. So that people can see the stuff that's already there and the stuff that's coming, because what's happening next is I'm going to America. Which I know you might be thinking, how can you do that? How can you go to America? Well, first, I had this plan since last fall, so before anyone got elected. And I set things up then also, because, the exciting part too is I'm going to drive a Tesla the whole time. Because I always wanted to, and I thought that would be cool for a big road trip, and I can make cool content too about like how good it is or not good it is. And then, yeah, all the stuff happened. So I don't know. I'm gonna explain the idea more in the content to come, and that's gonna be hopefully a short video every day, and then longer videos every few days, every week maybe. Basically, it's going to mostly be based on like where I can get Wi-Fi and how much editing I can do versus how much driving I have to do versus how much interviews I have to do versus everything. But I'm going through the States. I'm doing it for a couple of reasons. First of all, I haven't been in a while. I haven't gone anywhere in a while. I've had some stuff that I'm still really dealing with in my personal life. Like it kind of been for just related to old work and stuff. But yeah, I really haven't done anything. The first part of the trip is along the East Coast, down from where I live in Ontario to Florida. And that's a trip that I did when I was a little kid. So there's a bunch of like factors pulling at this, including like nostalgia and just wanting to go to a bunch of places that I haven't been or haven't been in a long time. It's also because of Twitch. So I'm a streamer. I stream on Twitch to a small audience, and I have a great time doing it. I've met a lot of amazing people, and that's really the primary reason that I started doing this, is because the experience on there was like very antithetical to what I imagined internet culture to be, where everyone has just been like super nice, super open and generous and friendly and accepting, and in like a really genuine way, which is pretty crazy. And I felt like that was something special. And so there's a guy who runs a Discord server called Cult of Wild, I believe, or the Cult of Wild, or hold on. It's called Cult of Wild with a blood drop, and Wild has 2 Ds. Super interesting guy. Super interesting guy, and super interesting like the whole thing. Again, we'll get more into that in the course of the journey. But so I told him, I said, hey, I'm gonna come down to Texas where he lives and interview you about this. And he was like, yeah, hell yeah, let's do it. So that was the start. From there, figured out plans, figured I'm going to Florida. There's a wedding that I have to go to. From Florida to Texas, and then after that, who knows? Again, it'll be updated as I go. But one, like, I guess a third aspect now, one thing that just like kept hitting me as time went on and things kept getting kind of crazy in the USA-Canada relationship is I think mostly this is all political bullshit, and people don't want this at all. Like a majority of people don't, because Canada and the US are super chill and always have been. There's obviously things we disagree about, like smoking weed, but in general, super chill. And all my experiences with America, I'm a white guy also, so that's something to take into account, but all my experiences with America have been like very positive, and I'm expecting that exact same thing again this time. I'm expecting this trip to be like really great. But yeah, it's like I said, these are like very troubled times. And so with that in mind, I'm collaborating with my first interview of the second season to do a little Canada-US relationship repair, I guess you call it. And I don't want to say too much more. I'm going to let that interview drop. It's coming out on Friday. That's April 4th. This should be out on the 1st or 2nd. So April 4th, 2 days away. When that interview drops, it'll make more sense, and I'll already be on the road. And then I'll be posting stuff with updates and letting you guys know what's happening. But I'm really looking forward to it. I think the second season already super strong. I can't wait to see everything I come back from the States with. And I already had a great line of people that I wanted to talk to. I'm probably going to have too many this year, honestly. I might even have to push something back. But yeah, it's going to be good. It's going to be good. I'm really looking forward to it. It's a bunch of new perspectives, a bunch of new people. The circle is starting to expand. So through interviews that I did last year, I've connected with more people this year. And yeah, I'm just going to keep feeding everything into it. I'm just putting everything into this. You know, I've done a few different things, and I have some other stuff that I do on YouTube also, and some of that I've like put on pause to work on other things like this, and some of those things I still am doing, and you know, I'm always got lots of different things on the stove, so it's not like I am like all or nothing, like this can't fail or I'll fail, but I really am investing everything into Sonder because I think it's super important in these times, and I think that yeah, if we can just connect more people, we can increase the social good like multifold over what that is, because it doesn't even have to, it doesn't really benefit me at all, but like for me to connect people in like a real way where they can then collaborate on things or talk about things and grow, that's the ultimate reward of this. Yeah. So anyway, I hope that wasn't too long or too boring, because I can see I went about 25 minutes. That's probably longer than I thought I was going to go. But that's it. That's the whole TED Talk. Sonder season 2 starting this week. I'm thinking about videos every 3 or 4 weeks. It's just really going to depend, especially on that first little bit. But I'll have everything set to go for whichever I decide. I just have to switch the dates around. Yeah, everyone who has worked with me or been working with me, and I've been like slacking a little bit in terms of like, oh, I'm not getting those edits quite fast enough. I apologize. This is definitely a big part of the reason why in these last couple of weeks, because I'm just getting everything set for this trip. So I've got my to-do list. I'm pretty much, but I got a couple more things. But yeah, that's it. That's the end of Sonder season 1. We're going into season 2. I'm going to do some recaps of all the episodes from season 1 and put those on socials just to like push those again. And because I really appreciate all those people helping me grow the series and like what it's going to be and what it looks like and what it sounds like and what the flavor of it is. So I appreciate everybody so much, and I won't let you down.